everyone. How's everybody's week going? For me, today is my son's 19th. Happy birthday. And I'm so excited about it. And so he's less excited, actually. I'm more excited about it. And another thing that I'm really excited about is our today's guest. Like I said, he's my homegrown hero. And I have known him for last almost 28 years, and one of the finest human beings that ever God has made. And by the way, इससे पहले कि मैं बहुत सारी तारीफें करूं, I just like to connect with my audience and tell them. So I told him, look, you're so lucky that you got me as a wife, Raja. Aren't you so lucky? And he said, हाँ. मैंने कहा मोती दान किए होंगे तूने? So he says that, well, वो मोती शायद नकली थे. But, well, I can say the same for him. I'm going to be welcoming my husband, my best friend, Yogesh Bellani, also likes to call himself YB. So here he is. Hey, Yogesh. I don't even know. It feels like calling you Yogesh. So for everybody, it's going to be Raja, right? Like, it's my show.
Yep, your show. As
Hey,
always.
Raja.
As always.
Thank you for accepting to come here and speak about your life and your journey.
Thank you very much for having me here.
तो ये सोशल प्लेटफॉर्म है, ये हमारा शो होता है और ये हमारी पार्टी हो रही है. लेकिन इसमें आपको बोलना पड़ेगा. And Raja, let's like the format of the show is I love hearing personal inspiring stories because I really believe in the core values of stories and shared stories. So I would just I know it is you're not a very public person, you're so private, but I would love to hear your story.
Well, I think the start is very true. I'm not a very public person, and it doesn't come easy for me. So on the one hand, when you said that I should come here, I was obviously hesitant in who I am as a person. But at the same time, I've seen the work that you're doing and seeing the work growing and you growing along with it. And I thought maybe it's my small way of participating in that journey. I really don't know. A lot of people who know me would know that when I speak, I don't have a script. Many times you've commented on that. At least have a script, have a start, have a stop, etc. I generally don't have one, and hence, probably what you will hear today is as candid can be. And I hope that if it serves the purpose, Anubha, that you have in terms of your channel, in terms of your target audience, and if there's anything that anyone can take away from this, and even if it's an iota that helps them in their journey and in their evolution, I think it would be a fantastic thing to do. And I know that when you asked me to do this, it was almost a few months back, and I said I'll do it on the 9th of June because the 9th of June is special. So since 9th of June is special, and this is a special interaction, I'll share as candidly I can. So I think, like all middle class families, my story is very similar. Very similar in the way it starts. Very similar in the way we live our lives. Childhood, which was absolutely phenomenal in terms of everything that one wanted to do, one wanted to have fun with. So amazing childhood, and so much that one has as memories that one always digs back into in terms of reminiscing and relishing those times. I think from a point of view of what would be standouts during the childhood years, and things that one, when one reflects, one feels there is maybe learning, then maybe there are things that one could have done slightly different. And I think that becomes something that I've taken forward in maybe subconsciously, because I used to be a good student. I started slow, but I was a very good student by the time we got into middle school, and by the time we got into senior school. But I didn't play to my potential. I probably got distracted and maybe lost the path. Something that has stayed with me, because you know how our academic system is. You know, the 12th means a lot, both from the marks that you get as a board or the entrance exams that you participate and crack, and it becomes a stepping stone in many ways. But in my case, I still remember, being a great student. I was put in the ability section. These were new terms those days. It was the ability section, doing computer science in 11th after 10th. 10th was a great result. 11th was an even more phenomenal result. I had 99.3. I mean, I still can't believe it. 99.3 in PCM. That's only 2 marks
रहने
less
दे,
of.
मैं अगर मैं तेरे संस्कृत के मार्क्स बता दूंगी यहाँ पे
Hey,
सबको, रहने दे तो
वो tenth
99.3।
वो 54 54 because everybody told me कि 9th 10th में संस्कृत देना स्कोर करेगा साला उसी that was the only subject which took me down, and I had 54 marks in it. So yeah, thanks for that, for being the spoil sport that you always are in bringing me down to reality. But this 54 repeated itself, not in the marks of 54, but in relative terms when I screwed up my 12th, and thereby screwed up my opportunities of starting engineering with a premier college and so on and so forth. And I think that stayed with me, and somewhere it stayed with my father. It stayed as a big disappointment, right through and through. And I honestly could never come to terms with it. So even when I was doing my engineering from University of Pune, and a lot of people will say it's a great university, a tough university, and I did again finished in the top of my class, first class. Something was always missing. It was always a feeling that I could have done much better. But having said that, just like all middle class families, our world visions were also very small. My world vision that time was looking at my father. He was an engineer. He did his MBA. He had struggled his life and built everything on his own. And that was the inspiration. So just when I was going into engineering, when I finished my 12th, he had started a small consulting business, engineering consulting business of his own. And my worldview was that like the elder son, do my engineering, come back and help the father, and that's how life will be. But as we know, life has its own ways of telling us what our calling is, shows us different opportunities, different paths. You make your choices, and you move on. But I think the one thing that I took back from those years, or took forward from those years, was never to repeat that mistake again, and not to get distracted. So whether it was my engineering and then subsequently my MBA, which incidentally you helped do all my assignments, but you would remember that even while so when I finished my engineering, it was almost like coming back and joining the family father's consulting firm, and starting, and a year into it, I got enrolled into a part-time MBA, because somewhere I did feel that what I was doing was not what I was meant to do, and there was something missing, and I just joined for the lark of it, the part-time program at Birla Institute, and thereafter the 6 semester over 3 years were a journey in itself, uh, and doing the way I did it, I thoroughly enjoyed it, to the extent that I topped each and every semester, and all six altogether. So much so that we still have those very fond associations with BIMTech even today, both you and me, and we continue to go back there, and devote whatever we can, be part of the startup council, of the incubation center, or the advisory council, etc., etc. But I think those formative years and the work that we did was very meaningful. Even though it was part time, I think my learning was tremendous. And I think while I was, and I always talk to you, and I always say that in this world where you need pedigrees to start, you need brands on your education, you need brands on your resume of every kind. This wasn't the corporate start that you would see when you look at CVs of chief executives and whoever you have. It was very different, but I think different journeys. I still remember, and this is a story you would recall I had shared the last time you and me were doing a storytelling session at one of the B schools. I can't remember where it was, but I know you were with me, and I was sharing this because it was just after I had come back from the US, and the story is like this, and it's a story that if there are people who and I know you do a lot of work with teams, and I know it's just into his engineering. Maybe somewhere people will relate to this. And the story is that just behind our house, we share a common boundary. There was this friend of mine, Sanjay. Uh, Sanjay and me were in the same class. He was in DPSRK program. I was in the Air Force school, and both from Delhi. He was a brilliant student. 11th neck to neck, 10th neck to neck, 12th I fall apart, and he lands up in IIT Delhi, Microsoft, Google, Silicon Valley, and off he's gone. 2017, I was doing a course in the US. Incidentally, I was at Wharton, one of my dream schools, as you know. And I reached out to Sanjay because, as you know, Del Monte's headquarters is in California. So when I was there, I reached out to him, and he was kind enough to come down to my hotel in San Francisco, and we had a lovely lunch together. And he said that, wow, you are running a business. And I said, you're with Google. And he said, you've done well in life. I said, so have you do. We just took two different paths eventually to be where we both of us are. So paths will be different. Some will have good starts, or maybe leverage starts. Some will have more troubled starts. Uh, for me, the real trouble actually, or not, or real learning or growing actually. So I see my life in two parts almost. There's life before 98 and there's a life after 98, as you will know. Um, the life before 98, I've spoken quite a bit. The only part probably is that during the course when I was doing the MBA, I actually left the family business to join a startup. People that I was introduced through my years at Vimtech. And this startup, which eventually went bust, as I will talk about subsequently, was also a immersive experience. I think it was the most phenomenal experience that one could ever imagine or have, and I think I will forever be grateful to it. Um, it's a different thing that by the time that association ended, I had no job. We were in debt. If you remember, we had borrowed money for that startup, which we could not pay for. The startup went bust, and we had to pay. And for many months, I was out of job, and your job, the entire salary was going to pay out that debt. Uh, but still, I actually only carry very fond memories of that 3 years with that in that period. Largely because of the experiences it gave me. And very early on, Anubha, I think I started to realize that it's not what you carry as a badge. It is who you are that really counts. I still remember, I was in the startup was building business or trying to build business in Malaysia, and I just opened an office there. All of 25, well, not even 25, 24, 96. All of 24, and we were opening offices, and I was tasked to open that, and We did joint venture deals of bringing investment into this country for highway projects. Participated with their national car manufacturer Proton much ahead of time of what auto components industries were doing here. Uh, and the experience was phenomenal to the extent that I I had fixed a meeting to go and meet with the Minister of Works in Kuala Lumpur. And when I told my local office, Magesan, and he's such a dear friend today, he's almost much senior to us in age, but it's such a dear association. And he said, "Dude, you're going to go and meet the cabinet minister in Dr. Mahathir's cabinet." I said, "Yeah." And he said, "You?" I said, "Yeah." 25 years, and I had no inhibitions at all. And I walked in, I met him, and Dato Sri was absolute magnanimity. And that paved to so many more interactions and so much more work that we did. But the reason I'm sharing this story is because I don't think I would be having the same confidence if I do it today. So the learning or the input or the takeaway for the younger generation is that when you're young and you don't know, जैसे बच्चे को फायर का पता नहीं होता और वो फायर से खेल लेता है, it's a formative time where you just follow your dreams. Today, one does it because at our when you're slightly into uh, an evolved career and age, there's so much at stake, and all of that starts to play in your mind, and you become sometimes subsumed, and you don't follow your heartstream to the fullest. And I think that to me is something that I always remind myself that if I'm pulling myself back for any reason, there's no reason to do that. And the other thing that I took away from all of this was that at the end of the day, you must have tremendous self-belief. And I think that's what I totally resonate with. It's at the end of the day, you have your own ownership and accountability. If you look over the shoulder and blame the circumstances, so be it. But what you want to do, if you do it with the right intent, backed with the right efforts, he connives almost. And my story is virtually a story of me counting my blessings. And every time and you have always been that constant source of reminding me of being grateful because that's the reality. And I just want to share this with everyone that whenever you're feeling down and out, reach out to the voice within, call out, and the universe comes out to help. But your intent and effort must be superlative. Nothing moves till that intent and effort is prime. And I think that to me has been probably the hallmark. So coming back to the chronological part, I still remember it was December 4th, and I was in Malaysia. I was actually taking a flight from Kuala Lumpur to Amsterdam, one of the longest flights that I was taking at that time. But since morning, I was extremely uncomfortable, and I kept telling Magesan, I said, "Tato, I'm not feeling." He said, "No, it's just you're tired. You've been in KL for 15 days, and now you're going for another 10 days to Europe. You're just anxious. Don't worry." But it wasn't the case. From morning till that night, and it was a night flight, night cab, and I was extremely uncomfortable. I still remember it was the first time that I was flying business class, long flight, Amsterdam, KL to Amsterdam, and I always thought, this will be a luxurious flight, and it was the most horrible experience. It was the most horrible flight. Didn't eat, didn't sleep, felt sick through and through. And as soon as we touched down at Schiphol in Amsterdam, the flight was taxiing, and the pilot was paging for me, saying that please reach out to ground staff when you exit. The message was from Agason, please call him back in Kuala Lumpur. I said, what the hell, 12 hours, what could have happened? Call him back, and he said, go to the Northwest counter, there's a ticket waiting for you, you have to fly back to Delhi. your brother has met with an accident. And I asked him, I said, Dato, how is he? And he said, he's fine, but he's in hospital and you have to go back. But something inside me had already given way. And when I came back, obviously he was no more. And young marriage, you and me, we had lost our only brother in that fateful car accident. A lot of people, I think also yourself, have said that you're not the same guy. Maybe I'm not. Actually, I'm not. Because honestly speaking, a part of me died. Um a part of me died because he wasn't my kid brother. He was much more than a kid brother. And I used to joke and tell people, I said, if I ever have children and if there's anyone who can respect me half a bit of what he does, they will do a good job. And that's the relationship I had. Uh, so obviously, things were what they were, and so here, 98, from this high flying sudden work, 99 opened up with the startup that we were working with going bust, we in debt, no job, Sumi gone, and actually no desire. For a guy who was so driven, for a guy who was tremendously driven, no desire. Honestly, I would wake up mindless. I still remember, towards the end of '99, I was used to go sometimes to drop you before you had started driving, drop you to the office, stop by at the Gurdwara, come back, mindless, mindless chatter. And I remember one evening you brought back the autobiography of a yogi, and that became a savior. Not to say that in '98 I could understand anything. Even today, when I read, maybe I understand bits and pieces more. Uh, but just holding that book at that time started maybe somewhere calming me down. I don't know what that effect was, but and here's what I really want to share today is that when things go terribly wrong, there are things that also happen uh, to take you forward. The life, as as we all say, has to go on, and 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 this is the time where one, if one, and I'm saying it today as a point of reflection, and all of this reflection is about an hour old or 2 hours old. When I was telling you that I don't know what I'm going to share today, but and the reflection was that that period and whatever has happened thereafter, and life has taken on from strength to strength in terms of how things evolved. But the reality is that there was Sumi always looking over me, and I say this because you know how things happen from there on. You know, suddenly I got an offer to attend IIM Calcutta, a 1 year course at IIM Calcutta. And I still remember when I was, when you were pushing me and you pushed me to speak to Dr. Pandey for, to take his opinion, and Dr. Pandey, who's known us from our FinTech days, he said that let him go into academics. It'll probably put his mind at rest. Otherwise, he pagal ho jayega. And so, who conspired? What happened? How it happened? You remember, it was freak. We didn't even know how we would pay for that full year's salary, the admission fees, and it all fell in. And I went to Calcutta for a year. More importantly, Sumi was looking over me through his friends. Natasha and Arvinda auntie came as a godmother, and this is something that I just want to maybe acknowledge that being a good human being is so very important, because it's not that things happen because someone did me a favor or someone did something. No, it happened because people provided that comfort. They just put an arm around you and they just said, we are there with you. Whether it was that one line email from Sangha who said that, dude, they can never keep a good guy down. Hang in there. And I still remember. He doesn't remember what he said.
Tough
98.
times, tough times don't last. Tough people do.
Yeah, and his one line, he when we met for our reunion, just before the pandemic, remember December 2019, I still again reminded him. I just सांगे तन्नू याद भी हैगा and he was दारू भी पत्नी यार मैंने कहा छड़ दे तू यार but for me what it did, and similarly Arvinda auntie and Natasha and what that ecosystem did, no words can ever express, and that was for me looking over me from a distance and making things happen. And I think that has become my true north in saying that, at the end of the day, let's strive to be good human beings. Let's try to do things that help people, because that's what life is all about. And when I interact with so many young leaders and both in colleges and outside at work, I always have this only one message saying that, while you all want to be great professionals, but being a great professional is a subset of being a great human being. Forget great, being a good human being. I think what that does is allows you to prosper in ways that you can never imagine. And I'll give you only one more example or two examples, and both from my professional journeys. First with Kohinoor, and then more with El Monte. You know, my journey is a journey in which I can only be extremely thankful to my mentors and my board and my leaders for giving me so much of latitude. To be an entrepreneur in a corporate environment is not easy. It's you are a professional handling money which is of shareholders, and your fiduciary responsibility is to make sure that you do the right thing for that at all points in time. But the trust and the latitude given, whether it was Kohinoor, where people thought I was part of the owner family, or it is here, has made me the corporate entrepreneur that I like to believe I am. Uh, but how did it happen? Trust, Anubha, is an outcome. आजकल की जो हम लोग बोलते हैं वो ट्रस्ट नहीं कर रहा, वो ट्रस्ट कौन किसको नहीं कर रहा? ट्रस्ट अर्न करना पड़ता है. Trust earn karna padta hai with consistent input. When you give those consistent input over a period of time, trust develops, and that's when people trust you. You can't demand trust. So, wo input kya hai? Wo input is your hard work, your intent, your effort, and your ownership and accountability. And every time you take that ownership and accountability, you don't come back empty-handed. And ये मेरा सबसे ही दावा है. And I can tell you, जब मैं अपनी बाइक लेके निकल जाता था बिजनेस ढूंढने के लिए ड्यूरिंग द टाइम व्हेन आई वाज वर्किंग विद डैड और इवन सब्सिक्वेंटली, आई ऑलवेज left home knowing that I will not come back empty handed, and I never did. Sometimes with business and sometimes with learning, but never empty handed. And that stayed with me, that jab aapka conscious is clear that you've given it everything, water finds its course and universe makes things happen. And मेरे साथ हमेशा हुआ, अगर मेरे साथ हुआ है तो ये सबके साथ होगा, ये यूनिवर्सल ट्रूथ है. And तू इतना काम करती है, and you keep coming back and reminding me whenever I have a tough day. And yes, we are all humans, we have tough days. We forget these gratitudes, we forget the graces. We have to be reminded, yes, but inside, deep inside, you all know that you are who you are because of the blessings of people who matter. And I think the only job should be to earn blessings. The only way forward should be earn those blessings, and earn those blessings as a matter of just creating an environment in which you would want your children to grow up in. And I think in today's world, it can't be more truer. And that's really what my journey has all through and through been. And there's been great learning, and I think the other big thing for me has been, to always stay with the whole desire to keep learning, and I think that's kept me in good stead. I think that's kept me young in my mind, and I think that's what I would encourage everybody, that you must continue to keep learning and moving forward. And in the process, the most important thing I've learned about learning is you must start giving first. Every time you give, you learn even much more. So, and that's what my principle of leadership is. You know, somewhere people want to see the glamour part of leadership. They see the leaders and the aura, and they see the whatever it has you. But what is leadership at the core of it? Leadership at the core of it, to be called a leader, you need followers, people who are looking up to you. A lot of people make the mistakes of thinking that's the objective of leadership, but that's the furthest from the truth. The necessary condition to be called a leader is to have people looking up to you, but the core objective of leadership is to create more leaders. And how do you create more leaders? You create more leaders by teaching them how to fish and not feeding them, which in other words means that, you know, be hungry to share. A lot of people don't do that for the insecurity of it. क्या मेरी जगह ले ले, तेरी जगह कोई नहीं ले सकता. And I think that's what we forget. देने वाला वो, लेने वाला वो, तो तुम कौन हो यार? And whenever you go out and give everything, the way it all comes back to you is phenomenal. And what you create is huge amounts of value, which sustains leadership, which sustains businesses, which sustains relationships. And hence, my bottom line is that if you want to build businesses and you want to build them sustainably, you have to do it through a value and purpose driven leadership. There's no other way around it. Other ways are shortcuts, and you will not build sustainable leadership, and you will not build sustainable business. So, a long opening to what you wanted me to, but I don't know if I've been graphic enough in terms of giving a picture of my journey. But yeah, I hope it helps.
इससे ज्यादा रुलाएगा क्या?
नहीं, रोने का नहीं है. This is about our journey. It's about how we've come together. And I've said this, Anubha. Have
सुन
you
सुन
got?
सुन सुन पहले एक मिनट पहले तो मुझे ना फर्स्ट आई नीड टू रियली congratulate you because you've been calling me Anubha consistently.
And
Awesome,
you
Yogesh
did Raja
Bellani,
Raja.
well done. Well
Very difficult. Yeah.
done. So sorry, you were saying something.
पता नहीं, भूल गया मैं. I don't know what.
अरे मौका मिल रहा है बीवी के सामने बोलने का, नहीं तो इधर उधर जाके बोलते रहते हैं. यहाँ बोल.
Seriously, that's true. That's true. That's what I keep telling everybody. The other day, when I finished one of our sessions at office, I was telling Ankita, I said, thanks, Anubha घर में यही बोलती है कि घर में तेरे को बोलने नहीं देता, तो बाहर जाके बक करता रहता है. So at least today I'm speaking in front of you, कैसा बक कर रहा हूँ. Imagine, I speak to you this thing. Oh, it's never happened.
Never happened.
Never happened.
Hey, this is taste like never before for you.
Del Monte.
Yeah, right. Thank you so much, Raja, for sharing everything that you did. Thank you for being vulnerable. I truly feel, we really don't know who we are aspiring with our stories. You don't have to be a superhuman being to actually inspire somebody. Just one little story, just one little word, like you were just mentioning from Sangha, just one little word of lovingness and kindness, just that is enough sometimes. वो कहते हैं ना, डूबते को तिनके का सहारा. So just that is enough. And thank you so much for being vulnerable. I know you've never probably spoken about your personal life so much as you have done today. Thank you for sharing, absolutely unedited and candid.
थैंक्स।
तो मैं इतना तैयार हो गया, कुछ तो बोलते।
हाँ बहुत सुंदर लग रहा है, बहुत बहुत बढ़िया, बढ़िया।
Chalo, thank you. Before we go, I there are lots of people who have come and commented on our live today, Raja. They were all really wanting to listen to you. So let me just acknowledge Vaibhav, Mom, Nina, and Garima, Vandana, Sapna, again Vaibhav, he says many congratulations. May God bless him. Happy birthday to Arnav. Shifali Sikka, again Garma, Saurabh Bidani, Pragya, she says happy to see you, sir. Couldn't miss this. Shilpi, Ashi, Maninder, Sanjeev, DG, yeah, and Bhabhi, Seyokta Verma. She's saying Raja is looking so smart. And Anu also. And they were saying so good to see him. Anu is saying love the session. So good to see you both. Sapna is saying wonderful seeing you guys. So thank you so much for everybody. Poonam Mami is also here. She's also wished us. And thank you so much, Raja. Thank you each one of you for coming and singing. देखा मैंने ज़्यादा grill नहीं किया. All the bests to Raja worked. Bye Raja. वहाँ मिलते हैं रूम में.